Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to my channel. Well, last week I just announced that I made my first YouTube channel where I'm gonna talk a lot about my experience living in Japan. And after I moved to Japan a couple of years ago, I made a ton of mistakes that made my life not so efficient, despite living in one of the most efficient countries in the world. So today we're gonna talk about 7 things that I wish I knew before I moved to Japan. So let's just jump into it. So number 1 is keep your tone down a little bit. Well, you guys might be wondering how noisy is the noisy in Japan. Well, last year I found out about it the hard way. I was having a party one time at my friend's apartment, and we were having a good time. We play games, we drink together, we sing together. We had a good time. But on the next day, my friend told me that one of her neighbors just filed complaints to the building manager saying that we were too loud. There's also a time when I was doing laundry at my apartment late at night. I guess because I put too much clothes in my washing machine and it starts to make a very loud noise. And 5 minutes later, one of my neighbors just rushed upstairs and knocked on my doors, telling me that you need to stop and you need to turn off your washing machine because I'm trying to get some sleep downstairs. And after that, I trying my best not to do any laundry at night or put too much clothes in my washing machine. And you guys might already know that most Japanese people live in relatively small apartments or condominiums. So if you make some loud noise, your neighbor next door or upstairs or downstairs will immediately notice you. And Japanese people have tendency not to bother other people as much as they can. So if you don't want to get kicked out from your apartment, it is best to keep your tone down a little bit. Number 2 is get your phone number as soon as possible. Getting a Japanese phone number or SIM card is probably the number 1 thing that you probably want to do when you arrive in Japan. Especially if you plan to stay in Japan for more than 6 months. And not just for some obvious reason, but not having a SIM card or a phone number in Japan have caused me a little bit of problems in the past. For example, when I was applying for a part-time job at some restaurant in Japan, when my manager knew that I didn't have any phone number, he rejected my application immediately. Well, of course, it still totally depends on your workplace. There are some places that don't mind if you don't have any phone number, but most places really requires your phone number in case they want to reach you for emergencies or just want to make sure you're not some suspicious foreigner. And there's also time that if I want to purchase something online from Amazon or Rakuten, we always have to input our phone number as mandatory information. So I always borrowed one of my friend's phone number anytime I want to purchase something online, which is not very efficient because the Amazon people have to reach my friend first and then my friend have to contact me again through line if there are some updates about the shipment. There are tons of options available for SIM card in Japan. So yeah, make sure you do some research before you pick the right SIM card that really match with your budget and daily needs. But if you're just planning to stay in Japan for less than 3 months, I recommend to use a pocket Wi-Fi instead of buying a SIM card. Number 3, there is no need to own your private transportation. It is not surprising to anybody that Japan has one of the most efficient public transportation system to the point that you don't even need to own your private transportation to get somewhere. Especially if you live in a big cities like Tokyo, Osaka, or Fukuoka. You basically can get anywhere you want just by utilizing public transportation such as subway or bus. Even if you want to buy your own bicycle, you can always just use the public bicycle services that are available in your cities. For example, in Fukuoka we have what is called chari-chari, and it can be easily found anywhere around the cities, especially around convenience store. And it costs for 6 yen per minute, which is quite cheap if you only want to use it to get somewhere close. So yeah, if you want to save some money or you don't want to spend a lot of money on parking spot, which is by the way quite expensive here, then utilizing public transportation for your daily commute might be a really good idea for you. Number 4, getting a part-time job in Japan. If you're a student at some university in Japan, then there is a high chance you also want to earn some extra cash through a part-time job in Japan. While there are a lot of varieties of part-time jobs available for foreigners, first you need to get the permission first in order to be able to do that. But the good news is, it is actually very easy to get the permission. You can apply it right after you arrive at the airport, and when you meet with the immigration officer, they will usually ask if you wish to do any part-time job in Japan. And if you say yes, they will hand you this application form. You can just fill it out, give it back, that's it. You will get the permission. But if you forgot to apply it at the airport, you can always request the documents from the immigration office website. And when you get it, you can just fill it out and bring it to the immigration office in your city along with your passport and residence card or Zairyu card. When it's done, you will get 28 hours working hours per week, and make sure you do not cross those working hours decided by Japanese government, otherwise you will get into some problems. Number 5. Japanese ATM. One of the things that really shocked me when the first time I arrived in Japan is how expensive the ATM fee is. Especially if you take out the money from the ATM in convenience store, it will cost you around 100 to 300 yen per transaction, depending on the operating hours and the banks you are using. Fortunately, this can be avoided if you use the bank's ATM, not the convenience store ATM. For example, I use Fukuoka Bank's ATM, and if I use the bank's ATM around 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., I will get free of charge transaction. But if I use it outside that hour, I will have to pay it around 100 yen per transaction. So yeah, make sure you check out which bank offers the lowest fee before you make your bank account. And if you want to avoid it using cash as much as possible, you can download the e-money applications such as LINE Pay or PayPay, which is quite common in Japan. But still, I would suggest to still bring your cash if you go out, because some places still only allow cash payment. Number 6. No tattoos are allowed in most public onsen. Nope, I didn't have any tattoos with me, unfortunately. I wish I had though. I was planning to get one, but after I learned about this weird fact, I reconsider it, and maybe you should too. When I say tattoos, I mean literally every kind of tattoos you could possibly think of. The reason is that the image of people with tattoos are very intense in Japanese society, meaning that people with tattoos equals members of antisocial forces such as Yakuza, which we see many times in games or Japanese movies. Thus, it will create the possibilities that the customer will get uncomfortable or tends to leave the public baths whenever they see people with tattoos. But if you guys have tattoos, fortunately there are still some public onsen that allow people with tattoos, so make sure you look it up online before you barge into any random public onsen. Number 7. Garbage policy in Japan. Japan is very strict when it comes to garbage policy, which makes them one of the most cleanest country in the world. First of all, you have to separate burnable and non-burnable waste. Second of all, you have to use the garbage bag designated by the Japanese government. You can find those garbage bags at convenience store, supermarket or drugstore. And after you separate burnable and non-burnable waste, then you can take it out according to the pickup schedule. For example, burnable garbage might be collected on Wednesday, while non-burnable waste will be collected on Friday. It will be totally depends on which area you live in. P.S. Take out the garbage bag the night before the collectors came to pick it up, because if you take it out in the morning or afternoon, then the crows will just mess your garbage bag and will be such a disaster. And it happens to me before, and you don't want your neighbors to start to complain about you again. So be careful with that. So that's it guys, the 7 things that I wish I knew before I moved to Japan. And I hope by watching this video you guys can find something useful and you don't have to experience the same thing that happened to me before. I know Japan can be a really fun place to live, but still we need to learn a lot of things that we are not accustomed to yet. And as always, thank you very much for watching until the end. If you want to discuss something, just leave the comment in the comment section below. And if you find this video interesting or useful, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content. That's it guys, see you guys next week. Sandy out.